Hi, my name is Kim Izzarelli, and welcome to Insights with Kim Izzarelli. Karlene Mitchell is president and founder of Financial Wings, LLC. She is a respected divorce financial advisor, divorce mediator, and certified divorce planner. Karlene, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. I just want to read a brief introduction about some of the things that are involved with your service. Karlene is known throughout the industry for her depth and knowledge and ability to deliver an exceptional level of detail to every client and client case. Clients and attorneys alike benefit from both her years of experience in all areas of divorce, including litigation, mediation, collaboration, as well as her disciplined get-to-work approach. Her firm, Financial Wings, LLC, was founded in 2003 and exclusively deals with the financial aspects of divorce, including the tax issues, dividing assets, calculating support, long-term effects of proposed settlements, college planning, and more. Her goal is to bring the financial and tax advice into the divorce process so that clients can make more informed decisions. In addition to being a sought-after speaker, Karlene is on the board of the Connecticut Council for Non-Adversarial Divorce and is a member of the Fairfield County Bar Association. She also is a member of the International Association of Collaborative Professionals, and she's a founding member of the Advanced Mediation Practitioner Academy profession of family mediators. Karlene graduated from Syracuse University and has a BS from the School of Management and from Hofstra University with an MBA in finance. She received her Certified Divorce Planner CDP certification in 1998 and has an extensive mediation and collaborative divorce training. She lives in Fairfield, Connecticut with her two sons. It's, I think a very daunting process for people entering divorce or making the decision to go through a divorce. What are some of the common things that you see people do or mistakes that people make when they approach the process?
Well, I think the biggest mistake is not getting help. There's so many aspects and questions that people don't even know to think, they don't know to ask about. And particularly a lot of the tax issues and the financial issues. So divorce is both a legal, because it's in the legal process, as well as a financial process. And there are a lot of exceptions to the tax rules when it comes to divorce. So a lot of people will make assumptions, and those assumptions aren't necessarily correct.
So someone comes to you, and what are some of the things that you begin to set up the process? What is some of the information that they should bring to you to start to begin the conversation of what's going to be involved in going through a divorce?
Well, I'll work with people on numerous different levels. So one of the things that we might first talk about are the different processes.
Okay.
Because as you mentioned earlier, there are several different processes that you can go through. There's the standard litigation process. There's also a mediation process. And there's a collaborative process, which is very big in Westchester. And there's do-it-yourself, kind of at the kitchen table.
Okay.
So a lot of times I'll go through the different process options and how each one works, so we can try and get a fit for what that couple is looking for, what would best support them going through the process.
So one process might suit a couple better than another for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly. The couple may be talking, they may not be talking. They may have a lot of things worked out. There may be no complexity. There might be tons of complexity. So there might be kid issues, or there might be particular financial issues. So a lot of times, one of the first things I'll do is talk with people about which process to use, because I work in every one of those processes. So to me, it's more finding the right process for the person. Okay. And then from there, we'll look at the different financial aspects and what are their issues. A lot of times the big issue is, should I keep the house or sell the house? What are the capital gains? What is my cost? How do I afford it? What are the taxes? What are my options? Literally, what are different ways that I can do? Can I sell it now? Can I hold on to it for 2 years?
Okay.
What if I have kids graduating from high school in 2 years, or 8th grade in 2 years, or starting school? So we'll go through all those different ramifications. We can also look at, literally laying out what are all the financial issues that you have to go through when you walk through a divorce. So I'll talk with them about that.
So some of the things you mentioned, people might think that's what my divorce attorney is going to do. So what is the benefit of someone coming to you to do that analytical work first before they go to an attorney, or having their attorney do
absolutely. Yeah, so an attorney is a critical person in the role of divorce, and I really, 9 times out of 10, you really should be working with an attorney. And a divorce financial planner does not take away the need for working with an attorney. It really supplements it. But it can do a couple things for you. It can really reduce your expenses. I mean, one of the big things that I'm looking to do, like the name of my firm is Financial Wings, and that's my whole goal, is to give people their financial wings so that they're making informed, knowledgeable decisions. So when they walk into the attorney's office, or the attorney says, well, what do you want to do with the house? So I've worked with them. A financial planner can come in and work with them and go through the different aspects. So when they are addressing that issue with the attorneys or within the settlement, they're confident and they know what works best for them.
It's probably one of the most misunderstood, or I guess they call it the most common mistake in divorce, that the home and, say, a pension, for example, are valued exactly the same at that point in time, but they're very different assets and how they act over time. So maybe talk a little bit about that for people that think a dollar amount or value of a home might be equal to a dollar amount of a pension, say. What happens there?
That's a great point. One of the things that you want to look at as you're going through your divorce settlement and negotiating is to look not only at the short-term but the long-term issues. So the house will have carrying costs. And you have to look at whether or not you can afford those carrying costs. Are there capital gains taxes in it? Cash is king, but cash will come and go as you go through the divorce process. So it'll fluctuate. Money comes in, money goes out. The brokerage accounts act differently, and they have different taxation from an illiquid real estate.
Right.
Retirement accounts, again, usually those are 401ks or 403bs, but they're not equal to $1 of a brokerage account, because a retirement account is $1 of income that's never been taxed. So for one person to take all the retirement accounts and the other person to take the equivalent in a brokerage account is not necessarily a fair trade because of the income tax issues that are embedded within that retirement account. And a pension is a completely different animal, because a pension is a payment for life. And it doesn't start immediately. Quite often it may be a frozen pension. So many of them are, if we still find pensions. A lot of time they're frozen. But in a pension, you're looking at whether or not that payment stream, one, it's a risk that it will still be there, and two, it is a payment stream, but it doesn't start for quite a long period of time quite often. Or the other thing with a pension is that it may be actually paid out and in process. We have a lot of people that are in their 60s that are getting divorced as well. And in those cases, we need to look at what are the different issues with a pension and how can it be structured if it's already in a payment status. Also, with a lot of teachers, the pensions are very specific on how they can be structured in a divorce and a division in a divorce.
Interesting.
And one of the big things that you really need to dive into is, one, the death benefit. What happens if somebody passes away before that pension gets paid out? And two, what happens if the teacher actually remarries before that pension gets paid out? Even if there's what's called a quadro, a qualified domestic relations order, or in the case of a teacher, a DRO, domestic relations order, in place. Those aspects are very real contingencies that could greatly affect what's called the alternative payee, the spouse's benefit. And a lot of that needs to be looked at and evaluated and discussed as you go through the process.
So it really, it's really something that requires sitting down and taking all the pieces and putting them on the table, because depending where the person is in life, the ages of people getting divorced, where they are, if they've worked, if they are working, if they're going to retire. I mean, it's different for everyone, isn't it?
It really is. No two cases are alike at all. I mean, seriously, not alike at all. And one of the things is with a litigation, you're looking at how does your case fit into the prior cases. What did the judge rule for prior cases that were similar to yours, and how might they rule in your case? But a lot of times we're trying to get away from strict litigation because this is a family. So there are times when litigation is absolutely needed, but there are other times when litigation isn't needed. So there are a lot of attorneys that do collaborative and mediation, as well as divorce financial planners that are in there to support them, as well as family therapists that are in there to help with parenting plans. So it's not a judge making a decision on a parenting plan, it's a trained family therapist who knows the stages of the children. And so you now have this whole group, this whole team of professionals that quite often the non-legal professionals are substantially cheaper to work with, and they have more specific knowledge. They can really dive deeper and help you with that particular aspect outside of the realm of what a judge would do, looking at what's right for your family. You know, really trying to get down and go, all right, what are our goals? So one of the first things I ask each one of my clients is, what is a goal for you? What's important to you? So what we're trying to do then is design the settlement, not necessarily around what a judge would do or what would happen in a litigation, but the truth is you never get far away from those parameters.
Right.
You know, every settlement is within those parameters because a judge always has to approve a settlement.
That's right.
So what we're trying to do is look at, well, what's important for each person, what do the kids need, and then start to structure that. And that's fairly financially oriented and kid oriented. So we're really trying to look at lifestyles and goals for each person and trying to design something that's basically finely tuned, that works, and that both people can come to an agreement on. So, you know, when you're looking at mediation and collaborative divorce, those are really what I call informed consent processes, which means you have to have a fair amount of knowledge. So,
and I just want to just stop there because we jumped into this and I wanted to back up a little bit. For someone who doesn't have a legal background, there really is a lot of money to be saved if you can use mediation or collaborative law. So could you just explain the difference between the two for our audience, just so it's clear how it works exactly?
Okay. In a mediation process, I usually draw a little schematic. You have a husband and a wife, and they hire a mediator, and they sit at the table all together. And the mediator provides the substance of what they need to get through, what issues they need to address. And they provide financial information, legal information, not advice, not what they should or shouldn't do, but what are some of the options.
Okay.
And they walk the couple through all the different items that need to be addressed, and they'll come up with notes. Now, sometimes a mediator is an attorney, so they'll write up the document. Other times, many mediators are not attorneys, but they'll take you through the process, and then the mediation notes go to an attorney. I usually do advise all clients that use mediation to go to their individual attorneys and get some advice on the settlement. So that's somewhat mediation. You're really building everything with yourselves. And that by far is the cheapest assisted because you're doing your own negotiations. With collaborative, it's kind of a hybrid between that and a litigation. You're working with a collaboratively trained attorney, and everyone, the two spouses and the two attorneys, And there may be a financial professional and a mental health professional to come in and do the parenting plan and to crunch the numbers. So in that case, all of the people have signed an agreement that they would not litigate. That either their whole goal is to solve. It's not to take it to court, but it's to solve and come to an agreement. So there we're trying to, the clients are negotiating with an attorney by their side. So you're not alone in the mediation room. You have an attorney by your side. Again, with mediation and collaborative, you're working towards goals. What's important for each one of the clients, and how can we make this kind of a win-win?
So this fee savings, perhaps, not guaranteed, but perhaps, may be because the time that's spent together is devoted towards the goal, even though someone might say, well, you're still paying 2 attorneys. There are 2
Right, but
attorneys that are working.
you're not doing all of the legal protocol as well.
Okay.
So you're really trying to stay out of the courts. You're not filing motions and things along those lines. You're really doing cooperatively. If somebody needs exclusive possession of the home, or you decide, are we going to list the home? You sit and you have a discussion about it, and you come to an agreement about it, versus filing motions as to whether or not the home should be sold or what the particular issue is.
Okay.
So there's a lot of savings in those regards as well.
Okay. Because I think that's probably one of the mysteries going into divorce is what will the fees be? And
yeah, the fees are always hard to tell because it really depends upon how cooperative the clients are. And that's also coming back to divorce financial planning.
Sorry.
One of the things that we can do there is when you have knowledge ahead of time, you can go into a discussion a lot more confident, and I think it enables not faster discussions, but better discussions and a more efficient process. So using a divorce financial planner can often help that.
Okay. Talk about what a parenting plan is for someone who may not know, and why the financial analysis that goes into what you hope to deliver or provide in your parenting plan is important. What kind of decisions are made in the parenting plan that affect your financial plan?
Okay, well, when you have children, we all know they're expensive.
Right? That doesn't change.
That never changes. And one of the issues that we have to figure out is, where the children will reside, who will make decisions for the children, and who will pay for those decisions that are made, as well as who's going to pay for college. So a lot of this stuff is financially oriented. So as the parenting plan is developed and we're looking at working with that, we're also looking at, well, how are these things going to be paid? Quite often we're looking at creative solutions now. Sometimes we have a kids account where both mom and dad may fund a kids account, and then money is drawn for the expense of soccer or for the expense of auto insurance, depending upon how old. That's one way. There's child support, which is a guideline amount, but sometimes it's better to go off the guideline and to look directly at what the kids' expenses are and who's going to be paying what. So what we want to do is, when you're developing your expenses, really is important to look at what you're actually paying. Not just guess at it, but really take a hard look at what your expenses are today. 2 things will help you. 1, knowing what to negotiate, and 2, knowing what you might need to change going forward. So it'll really, and part of the divorce process gives you the opportunity to learn those things in the process. So when you're done, you're not just kind of dumped into the deep end. You know, this is my goal, these are my expenses, this is what I need to change, this is my gross income, this is my net income, this is my long-term plan. I need to save X dollars for my retirement, I need to save X dollars for college. I need to develop an emergency fund so that I don't end up with credit card debt. So working on your expenses, particularly your kids' expenses and then your expenses, we really want to do things with knowledge, so that you're not surprised, but, oh, I forgot that we're going to be doing braces next year. Those are the things we're trying to avoid.
Good, even if you're not getting divorced, to have some of those things worked out, how the
Yeah, there's an amazing amount of similarities between just plain financial planning
Mm-hmm.
and divorce financial planning. The bigger difference in a divorce financial specialty is that you know the attorneys, you know the process, and you know the exceptions to the law, and exceptions to the taxes, excuse me, not the law, the taxes. So those are really important things to know. You can't just go to a financial planner and have the financial planner say you need this, this, and this. Because within the boundaries of the law, you're not going to get it. You need to know what's reasonable when you go into your negotiations.
Tell me a little bit about how you help people identify their priorities. What's the process that you use to help them do that?
You know, a lot of times, by this time, you know, their head is swirling.
Sure.
Everything's changing, and it's really difficult to put your feet on the ground and know what's important to me, to know whether, you know, is this more important than that. So a lot of times I'll work with people and I'll take them through a conversation, and we'll start to look. They'll know immediately something is important to them.
Right.
Now the question is that an appropriate goal, and should you keep that goal? So we'll then work into that. You know, it comes down to kids and houses and income and finances. Do I work? Don't I work? All those kind of things. And it's a matter of just, it's like a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that's it's not so hard to put together, but needs a lot of order.
Right.
And just knowing those pieces helps you to start to fit them together into a workable plan.
Sure. So if you're going to go back to work, or you're working, or you're going to need to, you know, earn more income, that's got to be part of the plan too. If you're going to educate yourself, or go back for further degrees.
We can look at what income there is now. What are the different options of sharing that income, and the tax issues and the tax savings of sharing that income. We'll look at where the kids are in if they're children, and where you are in your education life cycle. Maybe you want to finish college, so we can put that goal of finishing college into the financial plan and address that maybe through an alimony that's different for the couple years that when you're in college or getting your education or ramping up to a new job. But you'll know, I mean, one of the things is to know this is the amount of income that I'll have. And do I need to work? Don't I need to work? But knowing that while you're negotiating. Because if you understand that afterwards, it's too late.
One of the comments made by your industry group, they asked professionals like you just to give different bits of pitfalls and advice, and one was not making your attorney your psychiatrist. So do you feel there's a fair amount of hand-holding that you have to do as a divorce financial planner?
There is a lot of hand-holding, but it's not just hand-holding, it's really providing knowledge. You know, I've been through over 1,000 divorces. So, and as we mentioned, no divorce is the same. So when a client comes in, I can share with them a lot of experience that may be appropriate. I don't think that's therapy. I really think that it's imputing knowledge.
Right.
When you're working with a divorce financial planner, one of the things, it's really hard, putting your feet on the ground and literally getting your footing. So a lot of what it may be called, maybe a little more coaching than therapy, but it's really sharing knowledge and sharing different experiences and different alternatives on, well, one way to deal with that is this. Have you considered that this is important? I'm not making decisions. An attorney can make a decision for a client and provide advice. I'm really showing people. An attorney can say you should or should not do that, but I am really telling them, what does it mean? What are the implications of doing that? So you're really making your own decisions, but you're learning and you're empowered, so when you're negotiating, you now have knowledge of what does it mean if I ask for this or don't ask for that.
I know probably you referred to it earlier, the decision whether to keep the home is big, and really chews up a lot of time.
Yep.
There's a lot of analysis that goes into it, but you know, given what's happened in the real estate market, you could make one set of assumptions, and the value of that home could decline, and you know, it's difficult to plan for. But I think, you know, your point about having choices, having options, and realizing that you have a sort of a timeline, and maybe you're not ready to do something now, to wait a year or 2 or 3, at least you know what the cost of doing that is.
Right,
So,
and a lot of the options aren't black or white. So in the example with a home, right now, we're doing a lot of things where you might, you know, maybe you own the home jointly for 1 or 2 more years. So you don't necessarily have to take on that risk 100%. It can be something that the couple still works with. So we're not putting that full risk on one person or the other person. So we can bring those economic factors into play and fold them in a way that makes sense for this couple.
Well, in your analysis, seeing, you know, as you said, 1,000 different situations, when you have an opportunity to meet people years later, what's the one thing that you think, besides seeking your help, which is important, but is there sort of a guiding principle or something that's helpful for people through the process?
You know, an overall guiding principle for people going through the process, I really do think, is just get information. You know, don't give your control and your power to others.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, it's important for you to do it yourself. And I'm not saying, you know, don't take on a financial, you know, or a legal role yourself. But it's important not just to hand your divorce over to your attorney, because this really is a learning process, both for the divorce process and negotiating it, as well as it's getting ready for you to take on the new roles that you'll play. And you know, meeting with a mental health professional, meeting with attorneys, and getting that knowledge and working up your plan, putting your time and effort into it, and have it people that will help you to avoid pitfalls and mistakes. I get thank yous. I mean, just really big thank yous. You know, it's so important to get that information and walk through this process with more confidence. You come out so much better. You see the new doors opening for you.
I think it's controlling your destiny, and if you want to be happy, a big part of that is controlling your own destiny. I mean, why you would want to leave that decision to someone else, I don't know, because it's your life. You know, you're going to live it.
And it might not be your choice to get. It might be your choice to get a divorce, or it might not be your choice to get a divorce. But there are new doors that are opening for you, and the sooner you can see some of those new doors and have the tools to walk through them, I think it makes your life much easier.
Well, we've only got a few more seconds left here before we wrap up. So I want to thank you, Karlie, for coming in and speaking today. And some of the contact information was on the screen, I believe, during the interview. But if you just want to let people know, how is the best way to get in touch with you?
My firm is Financial Wings, and you can go to financialwings.com is our website. Our phone number is 203-866-9900, and we'd love to hear from people.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Karlie. Don't let your emotions rule your divorce. Go get information, get educated, and seek out the advice of a professional. It's worth the time and the money and investment in you. Thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.